Here we are, in a room.
A bunch of self-identifying young women.
And allies, and non-binaries, and...
In separate rooms, we should also say.
Being women.
You know how the woman song goes.
We are strong.
We are brave.
We are born leaders.
We are fierce.
We are not to be underestimated.
We are enough.
We are beautiful.
We are powerful.
We are unstoppable.
We are incredible.
We are talented.
We are...
Oh, blah, blah, blah.
We are flipping bored.
There's not a chorus that could communicate our discontent sufficiently.
We want to cause some mischief.
Want to dance on bar tops.
With or without tops on.
We wanna rob a bank.
Come on, get away with it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to sit here
day after day thinking about which grant to apply for.
Which job might last past a recession.
We want to rip down the walls, hiding hallways of hapless politicians and just take over.
Start over.
Bulldoze their basicness and turn it into a renewable energy resource and light up the world.
Alongside the raging fires that fuel us.
And burn us, and drain us, and char us.
We may be enough, but we've had enough of strong and brave and beautiful being enough.
We want to be
Criminals.
We want to break every single law laid down that makes life lived.
We could be good. We could be the best. And it would not pass the power test.
because look at who we've got in Westminster.
Look at who is taking the piss out of our laws and our good, clean thoughts every single day.
Nah. If that's how we have to run things.
We're game.
We always have been.
Women are not just mums and daughters and sisters.
We're motherfuckers too.
And we're coming for you.
Cheers!
Cheers.
They fall for it every time. It's a classic. You know what it is? It's comedians. It's just comedians.
Absolutely. Hi! We are the bored women of the rooms.
Joining you from our rooms in 2021.
Rooms date back to at least 2200 BC.
Nah, excavations on Santorini have shown these early Minoan structures with clearly defined rooms.
If you believe that a tomb is a room,
A room for your deathbed, basically.
Your forever room.
They've been doing those in Ireland since at least 3600 BC.
And then, of course, globally.
So basically, there's been a lot of rooms.
And a lot of women.
An estimated 54 billion women have existed on this planet since the beginning of time.
And there's about 3.5 billion women on this planet right now.
And each of them goes into a room at some time, even if it's not a room of one's own.
Rooms have always had women in them.
Imagine.
There's probably never a room that a woman hasn't been inside.
Even the ones that still aren't allowed inside. Like, you know, the London pole mall clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
they probably still clean them.
Or deliver something to them.
Or pick someone up from them.
Unless it's a whole guarded peninsula, like Mount Athos in Greece, where there are thousands of rooms for thousands of men across hundreds of kilometers.
But women are completely banned.
So, so are female animals.
Neither can come within 500 meters of the coast.
Unless the female animal is a cat.
Pussies are okay because they catch the many mice that would otherwise eat all the food.
The plus side of this no female animals except cats things is that it makes being vegan very easy.
This is Greece, by the way. Greece, not some faraway place that gets some good old European funding to tackle its gender discriminatory policies.
The only women who have entered the Mount Athos Peninsula have done so illegally.
Starving raiders in the Greek Civil War that stole flocks were allowed to roam there during the conflict.
Dressing as a man got a few in, but that resulted in the maximum 12-month prison sentence.
But now exists for any other criminal women who might try it.
Criminal women.
In prison. Some of them not.
Some of them in prison for crimes they didn't commit.
Or did commit.
But if they did, then 80% of these crimes are mostly non-violent. Shoplifting, fraud offences.
The sorts of things that people at the top of our power structures, be it business or politics, are experts at.
So stealing without the protection of the law is pretty much what they are locked in those rooms for.
Away from families and children and jobs and hobbies.
And loves. Rooms where they're needed.
And that do not cost the public
An average of £37,543 per year to lock.
Some criminal women have never been caught by the law, and strangely, or not so strangely,
Haven't been caught by the global imagination either.
Not given much thought.
Not many books, hardly any films.
Comparatively, anyway.
Well, Al Capone, the craze. Pablo Escobar.
Criminals more famous than fairy tales.
We're not including serial killers here.
Though all these lot had bodies that added up, sure.
But it's more about the empire they built illegally against the norms of society. But in the same way the normalized empire builders did too, just one was posh and the other wasn't.
The murder parts was to just keep being able to commit the crimes they committed without being caught.
or caught, or stopped, or killed themselves.
Which is not an excuse. They're still killers.
but they're criminals first, not the other way around, which is maybe...
But it's the bits we're interested in.
Where are the women like this?
Not in the top 10 Google of famous criminals, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Bonnie gets a mention. Clyde adjacent, of course.
Not insignificant.
The only women criminals who are household names are the ones that worked out their criminal crossword worlds with their intimate male partners.
Those with husbands, boyfriends, lovers?
The men who were really in charge, of course.
These women might be allowed to get famous for being so naive as to fall for the persuasive, perverted powers of a man bent against society's norms, rather than for any ingenuity or lawless ferocity of their own.
And we just think. And yet, maybe it's too many hours.
On our rooms, in Zooms, drinking rosé.
Our thoughts on this are simply that if we don't recognise the bad shit,
The fact that women, since time immemorial, have been motherfuckers too, for money, for power, for fame, without any moral awakening at the end, without any baby to protect or wrong to avenge.
Although, is that really possible for women
Well,
in the end?
if we don't at least recognise the first bit, Ethan.
About women being motherfuckers too.
Then we can't possibly get recognised.
For the normal, boring thing to do.
Like,
I cut my hair during lockdown.
Woo!
That's
Nice,
impressive.
yeah.
That's impressive.
Or procrastinating, playing video games.
Yes.
Yes.
Or making a good cup of tea.
Oh.
So we want to raise a glass to some criminal women.
And by drinking them down, we hope to
Get drunk. And let's
Yeah.
go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
yes, but also to remember
Yeah.
they were there.
We are here.
In the rooms of power, criminals roam, stealing from people doing such worse things than what these women did.
So, with every sip,
Which does not have to be alcoholic.
We hope you remember this too.
Cheers.
Yeah.
yeah.
Cheers.
Woof.
Mm.
Whoa, this is
yeah.
a classic. Classic tune. Griselda Blanco.
Was a major cocaine dealer in Miami.
Becoming one of the biggest drug dealers in the Western Hemisphere during the 1970s and 80s.
She invented the motorbike drive-by killing.
But used any method going to get rid of enemies that seemed the slightest hindrance.
250 such people, legend has it.
Including 3 of her ex-husbands.
She got one of them and 6 of his bodyguards.
With an Uzi in a nightclub car park.
Don't shoot. Don't shoot.
After he betrayed her on a deal.
He spent 19 years in American prisons.
23 hours in a 4x4 room.
That's 131,765 hours in a room.
Before being deported back to her original home of Colombia.
Where she was shot in the street.
Ironically, by the very drive-by bike killing she invented.
She was carrying £150 worth of meat from the butchers and a Bible under her arm.
What was she doing with all that meat?
The Bible?
Feasting?
You remember though she killed
Or to forget them? Blood blanked by blood?
Offering sacrifices to the statues of Catholicism.
Repenting flesh with flesh?
Tonight, we shall feast.
Pray to the Virgin Mary for her blessing.
And we will sing the names of those we've killed.
Senor Pablo,
Boris Johnson,
Helena,
Jemima,
Red.
Princess Jasmine.
It'll be a long song.
There-
Maybe she was cooking for the homeless.
Attributing pork chops and sirloin steaks to the streets.
While she preached her favourite passages from Genesis.
But see, there we go, giving her a redemptive ending.
When men who've killed so many for their cocaine thrones make none, do they?
Exactly.
So no.
He stays there, dead on the stone by rival gangs.
Covered with meat she was going to eat herself.
Or feed to the men she paid to bathe her in rose water.
Using the Bible to make them pledge allegiance to her.
Until death.
Yes.
It tastes good.
Yes.
Rina!
Held up.
Oh, DJ Jones.
Let's go.
Next, number 2.
Ancient Egypt, the place beer was invented.
And an ancient Egyptian woman named Nesmet.
A leader of tomb robberies in the Valley of the Kings during the 20th dynasty.
Not much else is known.
What we can suppose is this much is known.
She was caught and it was recorded.
And perhaps you face the same sentencing.
For other women who were caught for conspiracies.
Against the powerful men that kept him in a harem, nose and ears cut off.
Or as a special treat, invited to commit suicide.
It was a time of minimal crime, supposedly.
Or at least, things that are considered crimes now weren't then. Who can say? Grave robbery, though, is considered the highest of crimes. Higher than murder, even.
To plunder the sacred resting room of the graves. So, it is likely she faced death.
Capitation, drowning,
Decapitation,
Burned alive.
drowning, being burned alive.
Burned alive.
Alive.
Before this, though, Nesmet led the way through those limestone tombs.
Marble room after marble room.
Masterful at trickery.
Architecturally telepathic.
Unmapped mazes unfazed into her strong eyes and arms.
Holding a lamp in one.
Removing stone with another.
Until eventually, stealthily, successfully,
steal all the gold and the emeralds from the kings and queens themselves.
Until, of course, the day that she got caught. And recorded. Allowing us to know this.
Which begs the question, How many other women criminals of history are untold just because they were too fucking good at it?
Plus, we could probably add all the queens to the criminal category too.
Depending on your politics.
Which we don't have enough alcohol to discuss today, so nothing to fear.
We'll leave them alone for now.
Allow time to judge or atone their ways of accumulating their wealth.
Whether it was stolen back by women like Nesmith or not, bottoms up.
Grim Raider!
Number 3, Qing Shi, Madame Qing.
Ted revised the China Seas in the 1800s.
Have appeared in bit parts on screen.
Including Pirates of the Caribbean.
But here, he is solo, leading alone.
As she did back then, with 40,000 men, women, and children under her unforgiving wing.
The most successful pirate in the whole of history.
And never caught.
Called the British, the Portuguese.
And the Qing dynasty.
The rules were strict and cruel.
Though sometimes pretty good, it could be said.
No pirate was to steal from any of the villages that sold them supplies. Pirates who raped female captives were beheaded.
Yes.
Yes.
But then, consensual sex meant death for both parties.
Legs wrapped with cannonballs and thrown overboard.
Any disobeying at all of any of the rules meant head chopped off too. So, you know.
She started her career as a sex worker.
Then at 26, married a notorious pirate. Had 2 kids.
And when her husband died 5 years later,
Took the whole enterprise over.
And expanded it to be the force that only the Portuguese could get her to surrender years later, when Qing finally hung up her eye patch.
Opened a brothel and married her adopted son.
Having 2 more kids with him in her 40s.
We have been told so very many lies, haven't we?
what did she do with all that money?
Made on the backs of beheaded necks and young girls having sex with whoever could pay.
She must have made sure she gave plenty of it to her family.
They were all around her bed at home when she died, crying.
For this criminal woman.
Their mother, their friend.
What would they spend it on?
Oh, this one is strong.
The Qing Cherry Martini. Cheers.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
So now, Death, the Black Widow, as Linda Calvi was nicknamed.
East London, born and bred.
Loving 1950s Stepney childhood.
Working on the Roman Road Market.
Selling wigs with her mother.
Till she fell in love with a bank robber.
Married him and lived happily till
Linda was tipped into getaway driving after her husband was shot dead during a botched bank robbery job.
Soon after, though, she was the one with the guns out.
And doing the getting, not just the getting away.
Vodka, lime, and soda was her favourite drink after a hard day's at work.
Bursting through heavy doors to demand bags, jewels, rings, and all things sellable.
She tells it better in her book.
Written last year after 18.5 years in a prison cell for murdering her then husband, apparently.
She denies it. The murder of him.
Not her life of crime.
Of leading armed robberies around London.
Of being proposed to by the men who did what she did.
But whose names go down in history.
Charlie Bronson, Reggie Cray.
Saying no thanks. Doing things her way.
This drink's for you. Sip it slow. The Black Widow.
The Calvi.
No.
Mm.
Oft. A slow song, finally.
Marion Boyd had 9 children that survived childhood in 16th century Scotland.
That was pretty good going.
Maybe she thought it was luck.
Or maybe she thought it was a double power, a Protestant prayer from her husband?
James Hamilton, 2nd Earl of Abercorn, who did a lot of Irish colonising for King James.
And her own Roman Catholic Council.
Unusual pairing for the time, and perhaps this is why, as thanks for the 9 surviving, she promised her priest she'd raise her kids Catholic.
Blind eyes were given to this wish until her husband died.
Then she was excommunicated from the Church of Scotland and locked up in Edinburgh's Tolbooth cells for 2 years. An uncharged criminal awaiting charges for believing in the same God.
But differently.
2 years it took for the laws to decide there wasn't a charge to be made. And the cells were needed for witches and whatnots.
So she was put under house arrest in her home in West Lothian.
Make sure she didn't sneak out to meet Catholic priests who had kept things under wraps, but weren't under house arrest themselves.
She died soon after she arrived.
A criminal woman without being charged with a crime.
Tension without trial. It's still all the rage right now, of course.
I hope that for that time Marion couldn't leave the house, she found a room with a window.
In the green slopes of Duntarvie.
Maybe asking a remaining child to pick them in a bag so that she could see them even when it got dark outside.
With their pink or purple spots and stripes on their 3 lobed lips.
Perhaps she imagined walking in the crisp, fresh air without a guard.
When she knew she could not do so herself again.
She struck the cone-shaped clusters of her spiked flowers to her heart and made its chambers split apart.
To escape room after room of nowhere to go.
To finally flow freely through Scottish hills and castle walls.
But who really believes in ghosts?
Good night.
Oh,
Oh, my feet.
please
my
tell me somebody
head,
found my
Mom.
phone.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And there, or is it worse?
That's a night to remember.
We're freezing in here, guys.
And so, what about us? Now,
You?
Still in our room.
Still unsure of what we can do that is really a crime.
Or not really a crime in the eyes of ethics, only politics.
Or a crime that would get some of us punished.
And others of us celebrated.
Yep.
But at least now we're a bit pissed.
Or high on halal fizzy Haribo.
On the meditative melody of proper green tea.
Whatever is your thing. Your thing.
We've been here to bring you what we brought you.
Gaze.
A bored woman in a room gaze on other women doomed by the sort of world we say we don't want.
But we still build.
Who were mostly,
Except our Scott, obviously.
not very nice women.
Yeah.
So if you add everything up, then whoever does.
It's confusing as fuck.
But we've still got stuff to celebrate, right?
Yeah, like
Like, there's a smidge of a chance that I might be able to marry Tyson Fury and sing karaoke every day with the Gypsy King.
Come on. Come on.
Something about this whole situation might lead to something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
potential.
Very true.
Potential.
Being safe and healthy.
Yeah.
That's granted.
I mean, I've still got my 18th to celebrate.
Oh,
Come on.
Absolutely not.
Right now.
So we celebrate through the confusion.
Find a way through to some sort of truth.
We hope we told it how we could.
Pass it on.
Slang. Oh.
Nice.
I have earned a shower.
you.